Now, in about 30 minutes, the Texas House of Representatives will reconvene after quickly adjourning yesterday when they failed to reach a quorum. This was after State House Democrats fled the state for Illinois and New York and other states to block a redistricting effort. Since then, Governor Greg Abbott has called on state troopers to find and arrest any Texas Democrat involved who's currently out of state. Again, they're in blue states, though. Joining us now live from Chicago is Democratic State Representative Ann Johnson. And you represent Houston. Thank you so much for being here. I want to start with this. Are you concerned about the possibility of being arrested? The Sergeant at Arms now has put out a warrant for your arrest in Austin.
They have, and I think the threat of arrest, the other threats that have been made with regard to us losing our positions and losing our jobs, I think just shows how desperate Texas Republicans are to try to pull off this coup for President Trump. He has demanded of them that they go find 5 congressional seats because he is desperately afraid of the will of the voters coming up next November 2026. And so Republicans are doing everything they can to try to help him, but that's why Democrats are breaking quorum. We are taking a stand and recognizing that the voice of voters is what's going to be silenced if they go through with this.
And in terms of these extraordinary measures, I mean, how long will you stay out of state? Can you actually run out the clock with Governor Abbott in this special session?
Yeah, I think we can run out the clock on this particular special session. And as you may know, the Texas governor is the only one that has the power to call a special session. And he can call us back over and over again. But a special session is supposed to be just that, special, to deal with the issues that affect everyday Texans because it's not a normal setting. He is pulling all of us from our families and our jobs and our constituents back home to address an issue. And Abbott has made it clear, and Texas House Republicans have made it clear, the only issue that they have debated or talked about in the last 2 weeks is one bill, and that is the redistricting bill. In fact, the threat of arrest and the demand to come back is just to serve the purpose of one bill, the redistricting bill, not flooding, not human trafficking, nothing else. And so they've made it clear this is their priority. If we break this quorum, ball is then in Governor Abbott's court. Who do you play for? Do you play for the people of Texas, and are you going to call us back for the issues concerning them, or are you going to demand we come back so that you can serve the interest of President Trump? We're going to find out.
Right, State Representative, with respect, if you get unsat by the governor, you can't really, address any of those issues. Would you sue if that were to happen, and what venue would you sue in?
I'm actually doing my job. Being here is the most important thing I can do, and it is my job. People don't realize this. With all his threats or his allegation, this is actually fundamentally set in our Texas Constitution that the minority party can break quorum when you know that the majority has gone off the rails. So despite their suggestion that we are not working, we are working. We are working every day. We are still serving the interest of our constituents. We are still talking to families and victims of the flood, and we are actually trying to address policy. But right now, the #1 policy for us is to not let President Trump cheat, not let Texas Republicans steal the voices of voters in 5 congressional districts simply to serve the interest of President Trump. That's not just a Texas problem. That's a national problem. And so we are proudly standing up for the voices of everybody that cares about a fair result in the next election cycle and holding Trump accountable.
Yeah, in terms of your goal here, though, is the goal for Governor Abbott to drop this effort? I mean, do you think there's really a chance of success? He seems pretty dead set on this.
He does seem dead set, but you may notice that with Texas Republicans saying, hey, we're going to redraw the lines midway through the game, we don't like the rules, and so we're going to change them. And now you have Democratic states saying, okay, if you're going to change the rules, we'll go ahead and change the rules too, and we'll redraw districts. So congressional members from those blue states have now offered legislation to say, hey, guys, we should not do mid-decade redistricting. So what's good for the goose is good for the gander, and you can now see where their interests lie, which is in their own self and not their voters. I, for one, would love to have an independent commission across this nation, picking lines, let us run fairly, put it back in the hands of the people and not the hands of extremist politicians. So our stand as Texas Democrats is actually for all of y'all.
I hear you, but there is an argument from Republicans that Democrat-heavy states like Illinois, where you are right now, are already subject to partisan gerrymanders. They're drawing lines to favor Democrats. Shouldn't Governor Abbott be able to play by those same rules?
No, the rules are we do it once every 10 years. Those are the rules. And we all did it. We all did it after 2020. Every state redrew it and set the map. But Republicans are now trying to cheat for the second time because last year they didn't like their numbers and they went to North Carolina and said, North Carolina Republicans, can you go find me 4 seats? And they did. And Democrats did not respond in kind. And so now Trump thinks he can get away with it again in Texas. Texas Republicans are saying we're going to take 5. And so I am proud that Democratic states are now stepping up and say, if you guys want to change the rules halfway through the game, halfway through the second quarter, and say we're going to play by a different setting, then we're going to play too. They don't like that. And so what we want is let's put this to bed, put down the mutual arms race and political self-destruction, and let's get back to doing the work of the people, get back to an independent commission that would draw the lines, or just don't try to redraw mid-decade. In fact, the Texas Constitution says you can't do it. And so Texas Republicans are not only violating our Constitution and our law, they're defying the interest of 99% of the Texans that showed up for that hearing, all of which said, we don't want this, we're not asking for this. The only person asking for it is President Trump. And as Texas Democrats, we serve the people of Texas, not Trump.
But if Governor Abbott succeeds, should Democratic governors in blue states, like your own, Governor Pritzker, Governor Newsom in California, fight fire with fire and engage in their own partisan redistricting if the rules are changed?
Yeah, and I want to be clear, it's Republicans that started this. And if they started it, they now need to anticipate that Democrats will play too. They started it, but we're going to try to finish it. And we're going to try to make sure it's finished fairly so that the voice of voters rise above their extremist partisanship. And so I am grateful that Democrats from across the nation have come to provide aid and to say, look, if the Republicans are going to unfairly try to redraw mid-decade, if that's what they now want to make the norm, we can play too. Again, this is on Republicans. And I thank Governor Newsom for saying that if he's going to do this, it's going to have a trigger, that their redistricting will only trigger if Texas actually goes forward with this. So again, this is on Abbott. Who do you play for? Do you play for voters or do you play for just your party? And so as a Texas Democrat, I'm proud to be in the middle of this fight and grateful that the nation is responding and paying attention to what's happening.
Representative Johnson, in our last 30 seconds or so here, per state law, you are incurring a $500 per day fine. You make less than that per every day that you're in session. Every state lawmaker does in Texas. How are you and your colleagues going to cover that massive financial gap? We could be talking tens of thousands of dollars in a week or two. Yeah,
well, the Texas legislature only pays us $600 a month as it is. So I have a totally different job. We all do. We all are serving for public service. And yes, they are trying to allocate a large fine. That's a small price to pay to try to save democracy in the United States of America. So when we said we were going to be public servants, we are public servants, and we are putting ourselves on the line, not for ourselves, but for everybody else.
Representative Ann Johnson of the Texas House representing Houston, thank you for your insight and all of that. Joining us live now from Chicago.
Thank you.